Hey everyone, my 34-year-old female husband, 48-year-old male, got laid off 7 months ago. He has been searching for work since then, mainly by submitting online applications through job boards and LinkedIn and contacting local staffing agencies, to no avail. His former job was working at a small startup in a work-from-home position, and he has been adamant about finding something similar, though he is starting to understand that local and in-person options will likely be more realistic in the short term. He did have a temporary offer working deliveries during the holiday season, but that was rescinded due to a speeding ticket on his record for 26 miles per hour over the limit, which he got in August. He paid a lawyer friend $200 to help him get that expunged, only to get another speeding ticket just a few weeks ago. For this most recent ticket, he did not tell me that he was cited. He simply paid the $180 ticket using our joint credit card, which I pay in full while he is unemployed. I found out through the credit card statement. It was only then that he told me about the ticket. I do not know if he would have told me had I not seen the charge. Now he is required to take a driver's safety course in order to not get his license suspended. He got indignant when I asked him to pay for the $40 from his own money. Add to that, my husband is chronically depressed and has a history of severe substance use disorder, 8 years sober. He attends weekly SMART meetings, but I am not sure what else he does beyond that. He is also a recent empty nester, and both of his parents, who are in their mid-70s, are in failing health. He has few friends to call on for support. I have been his primary emotional support through all of this. Prior to being laid off, the depression was a bit more well-managed. It still came out as irritability, criticism, judgment, excessive daytime sleepiness, and so on, but it has been a roller coaster for the past several months. When it is bad, part of his depression can come across as having narcissistic traits since he is prone to a more selfish approach to things. Criticism of myself and others, big fluctuations in mood, and emotional blackmail, primarily talking about how much he is suffering and how I contribute to it, implying that I need to do things a certain way, or agree with him to soothe his emotions. He has implied that me focusing on things that bring me happiness is a detriment to his mental health and a potential contributing factor for him to relapse in the future. When he is in his more depressed states, he will talk often about how everything is going wrong in his life. Everything in his life is broken and falling apart. How I am so distant from him and how abandoned and left behind he feels. He talks about how he is putting in so much effort into the job search, our relationship, and so on, and getting no returns. Rather than feeling drawn in to comfort and care for him, I feel more and more distant and put off by him. And yet I feel this huge sense of guilt in even thinking about initiating a separation, both in our living spaces and in our finances. Every time I try to establish some healthy distance for myself, he accuses me of abandoning him and leaving him behind. He says he feels empty without me around. He has told me that he is angry at how much he feels he needs me. I know he is financially dependent on me, which makes this even harder. I do not want to leave him in a difficult situation, and I know that if I stay as things are, my own mental and physical health will continue to deteriorate. I do not know how to proceed. I am scared he will fall apart and become even more depressed, relapse, or just fail to launch on his own. Help. TLDR. My husband is long-term unemployed, 7 months, severely depressed, and emotionally and financially dependent on me. I want a separation, yet feel massive guilt around this. I am looking for insight, advice, feedback on how to overcome the guilt of initiating a separation from someone who is at a severe low point in their life and claims that I am one of the only good things left. There are some folks who are making the assumption that I am looking for separation just because he is unemployed and a little sad, and needing some tender loving care, and that I have done little or nothing to work on the issues. I did not include a lot of context because honestly, who has time to read about 6 years worth of dynamics leading up to this point? But I will add some context here to be helpful. He has actually gotten 3 speeding tickets in the past 6 months, but the first was while we were traveling overseas and using a rental car. That one has not had an effect on his driver's license here in the state, though we did get billed by the rental company, of course. We are polyamorous and opened our relationship prior to getting married. During an earlier difficult time, he used the threat of suicidal thoughts and relapse on alcohol threats to convince me it was my job to end pre-existing connections with others. He has done that again this time around. He has also said it is only fair for him to have unrestricted access to dating others, while I should restrict myself because I have had the types of experiences he wants, but has not had, meaning longer-term relationships. In his polyamorous pursuits, he has had multiple one-night stands, situationships, as well as some people he wanted to date longer-term but who declined him. He has pursued relationships with women of all ages, but the ones he has been most interested in having a longer-term relationship with are younger than me by at least 5 years, if not more. I was the one who initiated couples therapy 2 years ago. He agreed without complaint, and the majority of our work has been around addressing conflicts about how to manage household division of labor and our finances. Polyamory has come up, but has not been the central focus for the entire 2 years. Our main conflicts around division of labor and finances are still conflicts. My couples therapist has suggested I take on the role of wing woman for my husband in his polyamorous pursuits, essentially helping him take nice profile photos, review and edit his profiles for him, find events and groups for him to join, give him the seal of approval so other women can see he is not a jerk, and so on. All of which I have done. Other solutions for division of labor and finances have been chore charts, creating plans for how to handle things when he is depressed or overwhelmed, setting up every other week relationship check-ins, with the two of us doing love tank check-ins, and so on. I have agreed to all of this, as has he. There have been varying levels of success with these interventions. This is not the first time I have supported him in unemployment. He was laid off at the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020, food service. Of course not his fault, and was living with his parents. I moved across the country that July to be with him and start our life together at that point, and found a job by September. I used my savings to buy us furniture from IKEA and to move us into a rental by October. We were not living with his parents long term. He was unemployed until January 2021 and got his job through a network connection I had to a former employer who was looking at the time. In addition to paying for pretty much everything while he has been unemployed this time around, even though he has had unemployment benefits, which ended a few weeks ago, I offered to keep supporting him and us financially were he to decide to finish his associate's degree, which he basically ended up rejecting because it would not be worth it or he would have to start all over at the bottom. He has a high school diploma and is a few credits shy of his associates, no other specific trainings, credentials, career path, and so on. I have also offered to foot the bill for him to spend an extended weekend down in the town where his son goes to college so they can have quality time together. Being apart from his son is something he has stated is really making his depression worse. He has not yet taken me up on that offer. I have helped him with almost every request he has had during his job search, giving feedback on resumes and cover letters, sharing relevant job postings when I find them, talking about interview tactics, cheering him on when he has landed interviews, trying to find opportunities through my network. I have even let him know I would back off and not intrude if he found it too micromanaging. You know, all the normal stuff a partner might do to help in this situation. Him working on getting jobs has largely been sending out resumes in the morning and early afternoon to a few places each day, then getting on with the rest of his day, like napping, going to the gym, swiping and chatting on dating apps, reading, cooking, and so on. When I do not do things around the house in a way he sees as correct, even if I am taking the time to manage my own tasks, complete chores, deep clean, and so on, he will not hesitate to tell me how I have done it wrong. He will say things like, "When you do or do not do XYZ, it makes me feel unloved." I run 2 businesses that I started. One of his complaints is that I give too much to the businesses and not enough to him, even though I have drastically cut down on the amount of time I spend in the businesses as compared to when I started them 2 years ago. and my workdays are largely confined to Tuesday through Friday between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, when he would be looking for jobs anyway. My feeling put off is due to feeling a rather consistent level of demand from him to caretake him emotionally, sexually, and financially, while frequently being told it is still not enough and that he feels alone. That is not everything, and of course, this is filtered through my perspective because that is all I have. My husband and I were married in November of 2016. We have been married for a little over a year. Sorry if this is really long. Some background. I am from a small Midwest town. He is from a large coastal city. We met about 3.5 years ago at a party here in my hometown. I have my bachelor's degree. He did not graduate high school. Everything was amazing when we first started dating. We fell just completely overwhelmingly in love fast. It all seemed very romantic and like fate. I am a people pleaser, and he kind of thinks he is better than everyone else. But in the past year that we have been married, things have gotten worse and worse. We had just moved halfway across the country together, and it all felt very us against the world. We ended up getting married by his father about a month after he proposed to me. 2 weeks later, his mother leaves his father and asks for a divorce. This had a huge impact on my husband, and he fell into a deep depression. Life happens, and we end up crash landing at his brother's house, unemployed and practically penniless. He would not get a job. I found one pretty quickly, but he did not fill out one application. To make it clear, we desperately needed the money, but we only had one vehicle. I guess that is kind of worth considering, but still, not one application. All he did was play video games, smoke weed, and be surly to me and his family, who were being very generous by letting us stay there. I tried to be sympathetic because I knew how depressed he was, but I was feeling more and more anxious and depressed myself, considering that I was doing everything. Whenever I would try to bring it up, he would get defensive and angry with me. We fought often, several times a week. More background. I am the child of a currently sober alcoholic. My husband has a drinking problem that he will not admit to. For a long time while we lived in my hometown before we moved, he would get a 6 or 12 pack nearly every day and drink it all. I do not like the way he treats me when he has been drinking. Like I am the worst person in the world, just out to get him and ruin his fun and happiness. Before we moved, I sat him down and had the, "I think you might be an alcoholic and you need to shape up your act" talk. This will be important later. We eventually leave his brothers to move back to my hometown, which he hates, by the way. We move into my childhood home because we have 2 pets and we cannot afford any apartment, let alone one that will let us have both a dog and a cat. My dad very graciously allowed us to move in for no rent. He barely lives there, as he spends most of his time at his girlfriend's. The plan is that we will have our wedding to celebrate with family and friends, find jobs, get an apartment, and get our lives back on track. Good plan, right? I am willing to overlook the past few months of him acting like an entitled child if we can just get stuff going here in my hometown. We did not have any other options. We were out of money and had nowhere else to go. The wedding goes great, and things settle back down afterwards. I pretty quickly found a job, a good one that paid decent with benefits. I start working, and he plays video games and smokes pot all day. I asked calmly, I asked nicely, I offered to help, I begged, I cried, I yelled, all to no avail. He would not do anything, let alone fill out job applications or do any housework. He also would not quit smoking pot for a month so that he could potentially pass a drug test if he would need to for a job. The months pass by, and still nothing. Finally, I drag him to this auto place that is hiring and fill out an application for him. And thank goodness he gets the job. Until they fire him 3 weeks later. That is, to be fair. They never should have hired him in the first place because he did not have the necessary experience. Before he is fired, though, our first incident occurs. He was working during the day, and I was working 3 to 11. We were not seeing each other very much. He said that he missed me and that we needed to have a night to hang out and connect as a couple and all that. I was down for it. We planned that my night off, a Thursday. We will have a night for us. And I am excited about it. Basically, he blew me off to go drink at his sister's house, lied to me about when he was coming home, and then did not answer my texts or calls, which made me really scared because I was worried he was dead in a ditch somewhere because, of course, he insists on driving drunk. I'm horrified by this, but even at this point, I was done arguing about it with him. He finally comes in, obviously drunk, and he knew that he had messed up. I was pissed. Something inside me broke that night. I do not know how else to put it. We talked about it the next day, and I basically said that I could not stick around if he was going to continue to be a drunken jerk to me. He said he would take a break from alcohol. Not even a month later, he gets blackout drunk, loses his keys and his phone, and could not remember our address for a taxi to bring him home. I do not know what happened, but we found out the next day that he had already gotten kicked out of one taxi and that entire service refused to take him anywhere. I was worried sick about him and could not get a hold of him. I had no idea where he was. He was appropriately reticent and apologetic the next day and admitted that he may have a drinking problem. Still no job, though. He got defensive about it every time I brought it up. Eventually, I just stopped bringing it up to avoid the fight. It did not matter anyway because we were still fighting pretty much daily about everything: money, our living situation, etc. After we had lived in his house almost 6 months, my dad finally broke down and asked for a small amount of rent, which pissed my husband off royally. I am like, hello. He has been letting us live in his house for 6 months. I am willing to pay a little bit of rent a month. Finally, I confided in him how deeply depressed I am, and that I thought about suicide every day. He tried to be sympathetic but turned around and essentially said that I did not really have any reason to be depressed because at least my family and friends are around here. Then he tried to get me to have sex, but I was obviously upset, and he said that I have not been very sexual lately. There we were, deeply in debt, me working full-time only to come home to a dirty house every day. I was being a nag if I asked him to do any housework. I had to make dinner every night because he could not be bothered. We fought almost every day. Things felt really hopeless. I started to wonder who the heck I had married. I want a partner, not an entitled whiny child who I have to mother. He was pissed at me, though, for putting conditions on our marriage by saying that I would not put up with his nonsense forever, and that he was looking for unconditional love, and that is what marriage is. I cannot do everything for him, though. All I knew is that I could not continue on like that. I asked him to go to marriage counseling with me, but he said no. I asked him for a separation and sent him to live with his friend in his hometown halfway across the country. I could not take it anymore. I was a nervous wreck. I dreaded coming home because I knew he would be there at his computer. He could sense that I was pulling away from him, and he was pissed about it, but he was being a jerk to me and to my family. He has been gone for a month, and I feel a lot better. I miss him because I do love him deeply, but I feel like I can breathe again, like I can be myself again, not constantly walking on eggshells. I can hang out with my friends again without him guilting me about it. He is very upset. He wants to talk things through and get back together, and I am not sure what to do. I love him, but I do not like him anymore, if that makes any sense. We were and still are in crisis, and he did not do a single thing to help me. What should I do here? Please help. I am sorry if this does not make any sense. I will try to clarify if you have any questions. I kicked out my lazy husband, and now I am not sure if letting him back into my life is the best thing for me. Are my instincts that he will never change correct? My parents have separated now after they had a big fight, and I have been talking to my dad. He says they might get a divorce. I am really worried this might happen, and that it might be all my fault. I love my parents. I love my family. I would hate for them to fall apart, and I would hate it even more if it was because of me. If it is really what they want, then it is for the better, and there is nothing I can do. But if there is a way of reconciling them, I would appreciate trying that. In my heart, I feel like they still love each other, but the whole separation is because they have lost it with me and my sister and have just been exhausted by the whole marriage and everything. It basically all happened when my dad caught us smoking marijuana and passed out, and he freaked out. He tried to cover the thing up so Mom would not know, And when she found out, she blew a gasket. My sister was the one who introduced me to marijuana. She is a massive hippie. She is a vegan, and she loves plants, nature, and animals. She has this circle of friends, guys and girls. She introduced me to them, and at first I thought they were really weird freaks. They often like to congregate at this guy's house and smoke marijuana and just get naked and lie in the garden or on the floor or wherever. It was supposed to be all natural and stuff, like being at one with nature. At first I thought they were weird, like some cult or something. I was the only guy there without a beard. But then I eventually came to realize they are actually just really nice and easygoing people who like to have fun. Yeah, my sister introduced me to that circle of friends and we all started hanging out, doing the whole getting high and being nudists in the garden sort of thing. One of the guys had this big country house with a lot of acreage. It was a pretty neat getaway. We used to do all sorts of cool stuff, have bonfires, just hang out naked and relax. Some of them had some really interesting and unique perspectives on life, and they were really encouraging of me and really positive with some aspects of myself. For example, I had some ambitions and things that my parents always put down. I am really into art stuff. I love filmmaking, drawing, writing, but I am really currently into filmmaking. I want to try making an amateur movie, and I bought a camera. I'm always going around and filming stuff around the house, interviewing friends and neighbors. My mom and dad are always like, "Put that stuff away. Try to go do engineering or something. You will never be a filmmaker." But my sister and her pals were really encouraging me about it and made me feel really good about myself and more positive about my artistic side. I was really happy with them. None of my friends had made me feel that way before. I was really enjoying it and happy. My sister was also really happy that I liked it and that I was getting along with all of them and becoming part of her circle of friends. Eventually, some of them started coming by our house, usually when our parents were not around. When they were, I just introduced them as sister's friends, and my parents were like, "Huh." They thought they were weird, but were cool with it. My sister is really into gardening, and we have this huge backyard behind our house where my sister plants a lot of vegetables and takes care of the trees. She does not plant marijuana there, laughing out loud. She also does a lot of gardening at our friend's place in the countryside, as that place has a huge, massive acreage. Anyway, she was the one who suggested we could start smoking some marijuana in the backyard when our parents were not around. Or even if they were, it was big enough and they would not smell it. Our neighborhood is not really that populated. I do not think the neighbors would smell it either, or at least that is what she said. We started doing the same stuff we did at our friend's house, but in our backyard. Occasionally just taking care of the garden, getting naked, smoking marijuana. It was surreal as anything but awesome. I felt like I was living a new life. Sometimes our friends would come over, sometimes it would be just the two of us. I would get really tired and drowsy afterwards and usually take a nap or pass out in the grass or something. Or sometimes even the two of us would pass out. It all ended when we got caught by our dad. I was high and asleep in the backyard, and I remember my sister kneeling beside me and shaking me to wake up and get up. She told us our dad had come home early. We had to hide the pipe, get dressed. It was too late, and Dad basically caught both of us naked in the backyard with the pipe. He instantly recognized the smell as marijuana and nearly went crazy. He was like, "What are you two fools doing in our house? Our backyard?" and was shouting. He was also like, "Why in God's name are you naked?" He was clearly really weirded out by it. It was also embarrassing as anything for myself, trying to explain things while covering my private parts with my hands from my dad. We both did our best to explain it. He said he knew we were smoking marijuana at our friend's house. He was not an idiot. But he thought we would be smart enough to be able to control it, and smart enough to not do it in our own home. He said he used to try a bit when he was our age, but he had never gone this far. But he was kind of understanding and rational about the whole thing once he had calmed down. We basically promised to never do this again in exchange for him not telling our mother, and also in exchange for him not telling our mother, He made us swear we would not go to that guy's house again, and we would completely disassociate from them. He said he knew our mother would be way more furious about the whole thing than he was if she found out, and we convinced him not to tell her if we promised to never do any marijuana again at home or elsewhere. I was planning on sticking to the promise, but my sister did not. A few days later, she told me she was going to that guy's house and she wanted me to come along. I told her we should not. She was all like, "Fine, I am going on my own." But I managed to convince her out of it because we had made a promise to Dad and we should not betray that trust. She said fine, but she was bored and wanted to go somewhere anyway. She convinced me to come along to another friend's house. We arrived at her friend's house and we were chatting with her friend. I had met her before, she was pretty nice. We told her about the whole marijuana incident and she laughed her head off but agreed it was just bad luck and we should probably lay low on the marijuana for a while. We stayed up all night watching movies, drinking, and gambling. We did not smoke anything, but we did get drunk and stayed the night there. I told my sister to tell our parents that we would not be home till the next morning. She told me to not worry about it. I said fine, but I thought that was a bad idea. Next morning, we got back home, and Dad and Mom were both furious. They were shouting at us. They thought we were at that guy's house again smoking marijuana, even though we tried to explain ourselves. Our mom had found out everything that had happened that previous day regarding being caught in the garden smoking, and she had absolutely lost it at us. It translated into an argument between her and Dad, a pretty big one. She eventually demanded we all leave the house for a few days. My sister and I packed our bags with whatever belongings we could and got in my dad's car. He drove us to his sister's house where we have been staying for a week now. Neither my sister or I have any idea what is happening. When we try to talk to my dad, he is angry and frustrated, and he will not tell us what he talked with Mom on the phone. He said they might be getting a divorce. That is all I know. And we have stayed here way longer than anticipated. Our mom still does not want to talk to us on the phone basically every day. It looks more and more like divorce might be the outcome, and I am worried this is all me and my sister's fault. My sister is just meh about the whole thing. She does not care. She just complains mostly about her boredom. I have been trying to tell her, we need to sincerely apologize for what happened, because if they do get divorced because of this, it is on us. She is just like, you can apologize if you want to. I do not care what happens. She seems apathetic about the whole thing and does not even care if we go home or not. She seems happy living at our cousin's house for the time being. They have an outdoor swimming pool. I have been trying to tell my dad how sorry I am about the whole thing, and to please think things through carefully and slowly. I have not even been able to talk to Mom. I do not know if they will definitely get divorced or not, but I feel largely responsible because of my actions. I have been trying to explain the whole thing to him and how apologetic I am, but I feel I have run out of options. I do not know what to do. I do not want them to get divorced and for it to be my fault. What can I do about the whole thing? Dad caught me passed out in the garden with my sister after smoking marijuana. He got angry but agreed not to tell Mom. Then Mom did somehow find out, blew a gasket, and completely lost it at us. My dad, me, and my sister had to leave the house, and now we are staying at our aunt's place way longer than anticipated. It seems they might get divorced. I think that is horrible. It seems like it is all my fault because of what I did. Nothing I do or say seems to be helping. It looks like it might be inevitable. Backstory. We met in summer 2012 through a mutual friend who recommended we play an online game together. I searched for her on Facebook, we clicked, I found her number, and drunk texted her one night. Things went well. Long distance at first, she flew me to see her and her family for the holidays, and a month later we were moving in together. She told me her ex-husband was abusive and that he had fled the country and has been unreachable for divorce, despite his occasional harassment via Facebook messages. She said that she was unable to have children and suggested she was also on birth control. We had a great relationship. Things were going amazingly. We got engaged after 5 months together. By 9 months, we found out she was pregnant. We decided to move to be near her family for when the baby came. We moved in with her brother's family.
His house has an adjacent studio. My work was very supportive and made the transfer process very easy for us. She quit her job for medical reasons related to pregnancy complications. Less than a year later, our baby was healthy, and I got a promotion that allowed us to move into our own place. We needed to get away from there. I refinanced our car and other loans so we could be debt-free in 4 years. Things were looking good for us. That was when things started falling apart. She was on various pain and psychiatric medications, which made her a zombie. I got really close with one of my coworkers, a 30-year-old female, who was coaching me in my new role at work. My fiancé accused me of being unfaithful and told me that she was deliberately overusing her drugs with alcohol so she would not have to talk to me when I came home. We fought. She slit her wrists, and I ended up taking family and medical leave act time. I would not interact with my coworker anymore. I could be there to take care of her while she was recovering from depression. Also, my fiancé called my district manager and said that I had stolen her drugs and given them to my coworker. She wanted her fired. Later on, I found out she was texting her ex-partner, not the one she is still legally married to, and random guys she met online talking about moving to Texas, South Dakota, or wherever they lived. She got pissed that I was talking to friends, girls from my past. We had another fight, but made up. I applied for work at different companies, had a few interviews, but no luck. Thanks to state laws and arbitrary red tape, I was ineligible for any kind of unemployment benefits. I watched what savings I had disappear and my credit spiral into oblivion. Soon we were evicted and had to move back with her brother's family, the last place we wanted to be. She decided she wanted to go back to school, and I could be a stay-at-home dad. I was not involved in this decision at all, but since I was not having any luck finding jobs, I gave up on the search. She landed a part-time job too. Things were mostly good, but anytime there was any kind of disagreement, she went back to the "you cheated on me" argument. We kept talking about getting married and making efforts to get her divorced from her husband, but she never took any real steps to do it. More medical complications happened, and she missed enough school that she was put on academic probation and missed the next semester. A terrible boss caused depression at work, and she ended up checking herself into the hospital on suicide watch. She found out later that a friend committed suicide the same day she checked herself into the hospital. She has been coping with that. She needs a hysterectomy for medical reasons, but wants another child first. I never wanted the first one, to be honest, though I love him. All my accounts are closed or frozen, and my credit went from the 700s to 400s in a year. The bank sent me a letter of intent to repossess my car, but have not. I am assuming because it is too damaged to be worth the cost of repairing for auction. Oh yeah. She crashed it through a fence while driving without a license when we could not afford to insure it. It is all cosmetic and still road legal, but every panel, door, hood is scratched or dented, and it looks pretty bad. I have been back in the job market, had a couple interviews, but no success yet, and I keep getting letters from collection agencies. I would happily settle if I had any money at all. A couple times recently, she had to run to a friend's house to get something. Both times when I checked her location, she was near Target and Starbucks. And when she came home 3 or 4 hours later, she had hundreds of dollars worth of stuff we either already own, could not possibly need, or just do not have space for. I have text access to her bank account. I checked. No recent transactions. When I confronted her about it, she said her dad gave her a $500 Target gift card. I also suspect she may be meeting someone there. Recent events. I recently saw on her phone a conversation with one of her old co-workers. He is married and the godfather to our son. He says he is not happy with his marriage. The intimacy is bad, and he wants a divorce. They have been talking about how much they miss each other and how he was jealous when I started dating her. She went into detail about how I do not do anything to make her happy and how under-intimate she is. I saw more texts from her ex-partner, not the one she is married to, about hooking up, meeting some time when she can get away from me, like at lunch, and how she was really good at certain intimate acts. Then there was some guy she met on Facebook who had a kid. I think he was from out of state, but they were talking about meeting, hooking up, and had shared some pictures. I took the liberty of taking screenshots of the entire conversations and texting them to myself. Then I deleted them from her photos and our conversation so she would not know what I had seen. I confronted her about the Godfather, and she said she loves me. She was just telling him what he wanted to hear. I said that he needs to hear something supportive about his marriage, and I do not want her talking to him anymore. She says, okay. I did not bring up the other two conversations. We go to the funeral for our friend, super sad. While we are there, we meet a friend. My fiancé tells the friend about son's godfather, shows a picture of him from that day. I did not think this was the time or place to bring it up. I waited. When she was sleeping, I went through her phone. She had deleted the text messages and switched the conversation to Facebook Messenger, talking about what kinks they have and how bad their spouses are. Screenshot, sent to self, delete. I kept hoping to catch her in the act of texting him, but she has been very sneaky with her phone and quick to close pages or change apps. She gets something in the mail, a brand new Apple Watch. She says she was talking to her dad about how depressed she was from her friend's death and in passing mentioned that she wanted a watch. This was his gift to her. His business might be slow right now, but he sure can afford to be generous. Last Friday, we were going to take a shower. She went ahead to get started while I grabbed some things, made sure the baby was asleep, etc. When I came into the bathroom, she was topless, standing with her phone in front of the sink. She jumped and quickly closed her phone. "You scared me." She takes the fastest shower ever and gets out ahead of me. The shower curtain has a design on it, but I can see through it fine. She is doing a hand cover thing in front of the mirror. I pull the curtain aside and ask her for something. She has this pissed off, glaring scowl on her face, like I am snooping into her personal bubble. Then she smiles and says, "Look, I took a sexy pic for you." I go through her phone when she is asleep. Godfather is asking for sexy pics and sending her mostly undressed shots of his body. She has sent him a handful of revealing pics and the same bare chest hand cover shot she texted me. I also saw an Amazon link to the Apple Watch among messages from her saying how desperate she is to get away from me, but she wants to be financially stable first. If she just had $1,000, she could start her essential oils business and make sure that our son is taken care of. Then she could move to be with him and get away from me. His response: "You are welcome to stay with me and my wife until we get divorced. She does not have to know that we will be intimate when she is not home. I wish I could help you out. I can send you $600 that she will not notice tomorrow." Screenshots. I checked her emails. She has made inquiries at a half dozen breeders. There are texts to see about picking up a dog, $550, 200 miles away. She already has 5 dogs. I hate dogs. On Saturday, she went to babysit for a friend. I checked the online banking and saw a deposit of $600 immediately followed by a local branch withdrawal of $550. When she got home with hundreds of dollars of Target stuff we do not need, she said we need to go pick up a dog for a friend the next day. I called her out saying how sketchy it all seemed. Why would not her friend do it herself, etc., and she gave in. Then she went to Target and spent about $500 on stuff nobody ever needs. Later, she said something about the Godfather, and I mentioned that I thought she was not talking to him anymore. She asked if I did not want her to. Of course I do not. She moved Facebook Messenger to a new folder, but they are still talking. My problem: I realized a while ago that she is extremely manipulative and will do whatever it takes to get her way. Either she is just using him for money in exchange for some intimate pics, or she really is planning on leaving me. I want to confront her, but I have absolutely no leverage. I live with her family. I have not a penny to my name and no job. Getting stable on my own would take around a month or more. I am not sure if she is planning on leaving me or just taking his money. I am mostly okay with her swindling him out of cash. She has been acting very affectionate toward me and whatnot, but we have called each other by pet names since the beginning, and recently she has been calling me by my name most of the time. I am also concerned about Godfather's wife. She is really sweet. I am sure she has no idea what is going on. She deserves to know. My considerations. I have considered setting up a GoFundMe. It might give me the financial leverage I need to confront her about this and allow me to find a place to go if things do fall apart. I have considered hopping onto her Facebook and adding a bunch of people to the conversation. Her family, his family, mutual friends, etc. I am not sure if they would be able to see old messages or only forward from the point that they were added. I have also thought about stringing all the screenshots together, maybe on Imgur, and sharing them in a Facebook group or something so everyone knows what is up. I know that if I do not say anything and we break up, she will tell everyone that I neglected her, cheated on her, maybe even beat her. I do not necessarily want to do that, but at the same time, I do not want my reputation ruined because of her either. I have started boxing up some of my extra stuff and putting it where I can easily grab it all if things fall apart. I have considered talking to her and laying out an ultimatum. I do not want our son to grow up without a dad or mom, but I do not want to be taken for a ride. I just wish I could afford to take off if she is not willing to quit. Sometimes I wish something extreme would come into play and solve the whole thing for me. My fiancé is sending intimate messages to people, but I have no leverage to confront her. Should I confront her? How? What can I do to prepare myself for a breakup? I do to